it's the Batch Lady here and welcome to Module 9. I thought I'd come on here and tell you all about how to organise your freezer. And it was beautiful and sunny earlier on, but we're in Scotland, so I'm going to turn the camera around and let you hear what you can, let you see what you can hear. Okay, so we're in a complete downpour and there's thunder and lightning as well, and I'm here in an open shed with some lights, so I'm not going to take very long on this video. But on module number 9, it's all about freezer organisation and how to make sure that things freeze well. Okay, so I just want to run through a few top tips about organising your freezer. Now I've got one of these polar catering freezers. I've got a few freezers. There's one behind here as well. But then I'm the Batch Lady, so that's how I, do it. I love these. So if you're ever looking for a freezer, this one's probably very big for a normal size house. But if you're ever looking for a freezer, look for the new types that just have open shelving. You can fit so much in compared to trying to get them in a drawer. So I love just open shelving, but some people just take the drawers out. But you've got to make sure that your drawer is, the bottom of your drawer is actually allowed to have food on it. Sometimes it's not supposed to have contact with the food. So these ones are like have a coating on the top of them. So they are just supposed to be put in like that. But it's brilliant because you can sort of stack it into shelves. So if you are looking for a freezer, that's what I would suggest. And if you're thinking about different freezers and you're thinking about, do I go for a chest freezer or an upright? I would nowadays say that an upright is much better. You can get in amongst that so much easier than you can if you're trying to delve deep down. You have to take everything out to see what's in the bottom. And things stay in these little sections so they don't get so, it's not so rough and tumble when you've got stuff in your freezer. Now, one of the things I want to talk about is a lot of people say about bags that stick together in their freezer, okay? What you need to do is to stop that from happening, because sometimes you'll take a meal out and there'll be two stuck to the top of it and you can't get them off unless you defrost them, then you need to use those meals. So what you want to do is make sure that there is no wetness when you're if you've, say, filled your bag full of, say, this is aubergine stew. Say you've filled your bag full of this. You don't want to take a wet cloth and give it a wipe if there's been anything dripping down. If you do that, you have to make sure that you really dry off the edges of the bag to make sure it's nice and dry before you put it in your freezer. What you also don't want to do is when things are not frozen yet, you don't want to pack up too much on top of each other. So all the non-frozen ones and stack them all up. Because what happens is this one at the bottom will freeze, the couple at the top will freeze, and the stuff in the middle will take a long time to freeze. But not just that, it will all really mold together and sort of then be more likely to come back together. So what I tend to do is find bits in my freezer, like I've got a flat space there, so I put one on there, and I've got a flat space down here, so I put another one down here. And then once it's frozen, then you can stack them up, and then they're not going to stick together. So that is my top tip on bags sticking together. I quite like to have a shelf of like different things. So you could either do it fish, meat, veg, that sort of thing if you want. Or you could do it by how new it is. So you could have your oldest stuff in one shelf, and every time you put new things in, then you move the stuff down. But how I like to do it is just have it, and generally I just sort of have baked goods, fish on one, chicken on the other, meat on the other. But when you go to put stuff in your freezer, just be conscious of pulling the stuff from the back forward, okay? No matter what freezer you've got, rather than laying stuff just on the top, be quite conscious of putting the date on things and making sure that you're getting underneath or getting to the back and using some of the old things. Otherwise, you're just constantly using this stuff here. And of course, I'm the Batch Lady. I talk about freezing lots of meals and being completely organised. But what you don't want to do is just become somebody that's putting stuff in the freezer all the time. Now, I'm writing a recipe book at the moment, and so I am trying and testing. So my freezer's quite full just because of my work more than anything. But really, a family of 4, I don't need this much in on a usual basis. This is quite a lot to have in a freezer. So you want to make sure that you're eating it and using it. And if you're struggling to do that, then get your meal planner. Think about what what days that you can have meals from the freezer and other days that you are doubling up and putting in the freezer. So you can start to manage your freezer a whole lot better. If you don't write it down, then it's quite tricky. You're almost thinking, oh, I'll just shove that in the freezer, and before you know it, you've just got a full freezer, and that's more of a pain as well, having just a full freezer. So you want to make sure that you're using it, and I would say take 2 or 3 days a week and make sure that 2 or 3 days a week you eat out the freezer if you are putting stuff back in your freezer. And another top tip to do is to make sure that you know what's in your freezer, okay? So I have a book in the house that tells me everything that's in it. I used to have a bit that's stuck on the side of here that I would just cross off. And what you do is, oh God, the rain is immense. I hope you can hear me. I do have a little lapel mic here, so I'm hoping you can still hear me. What I do is I sort of once a month, I'll have another run through and make sure that I know what's in my freezer, that it matches my list. It doesn't take long. You think it's going to be a massive job. Get yourself a pair of gloves and it literally takes sort of like 40 minutes, okay? Make sure it's all written down, and that in itself will allow you to think, actually, what do I need to use or what do I need to batch? So for example, this is my fish section and it's looking really full at the moment, okay? I've been doing lots of fish meals. So I now know that actually once or twice a week, I'm going to make sure that my family is eating fish, and then we'll just work our way through that as well. So batch cooking is amazing, and it does help to walk out here and know that I almost have a supermarket shelf that I have made of homemade foods that my future self is going to love me for on those busy work nights. But you just have to make sure that you're using it as you go along, okay? And I could go on and on, but actually it's now torrential, and I'm too frightened to even take the camera in the house in case the lightning gets me. Guys, this is module 9, not very professional, but good luck with your freezer organisation. Bye.